The air feels different, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like there's this persistent hum of tension. History kind of breathing down our necks.
Yeah, you see it everywhere.
News feeds, right? Global powers flexing, conflicts simmering. It just feels like the ground is shifting.
It makes you wonder.
Seriously, could World War III be closer than we think? I mean, it's not just hyperbole anymore, is it?
Not when you look around. Russia in Ukraine.
China and Taiwan.
North Korea's missiles.
Plus AI on the battlefield, cyber warfare, nations quietly boosting their nuclear arsenals. It's a lot.
The pieces are definitely moving.
And yet most of us, we're just going about our day. It's another headline.
But maybe it's more than that.
Exactly. Could we be living through the quiet prologue to something, well, much bigger?
That's the unsettling question.
So our mission today, let's unpack what World War III even means now. How close are we, really? And crucially, could it already be starting in ways we just don't recognize?
Right. Where do we even begin?
Okay, let's start with the basics. What is World War III today? Because it's clear it won't look like the last century's wars.
Not at all. The definition's evolved. Historically, a world war meant big powers fighting across continents, land, sea, air, conventional stuff.
Right, the images we have in our head.
But now it's way broader. We're talking cyberspace, information space, even outer space potentially. It's a much more complex landscape.
It really is. Think about World War I sparked by an assassination, then alliances just clicked into place like dominoes.
A rigid system.
And World War II, more devastating, technologically advanced, truly global scale. But today, the speed is different.
Totally different. A modern World War III isn't just soldiers. Imagine AI drones making kill decisions.
Without human sign-off.
Potentially. Or satellites knocking out communications for entire nations. Cyber attacks crippling banking systems.
And always that nuclear shadow hanging over everything. Okay, this is where it gets really unnerving for me. It doesn't have to look like the past wars at all. It could start with, an economic collapse? A grid hack.
Exactly. Or maybe it has started, just not with tanks rolling across borders.
What do you mean?
Well, many experts believe we might already be in the early stages, a sort of hybrid war.
Hybrid, like?
Mixed. Yeah. Covert, mostly digital. Blending military tactics with economic pressure, information campaigns.
So state-sponsored hacks. Disinformation.
Precisely. Destabilizing a society from within, maybe without a single shot fired in the traditional sense. It's about influence, controlling a narrative, data, disabling a city without a bomb.
So if it looks so different, how will we even know? When does it officially start? What's the marker?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Maybe we won't recognize it.
How so?
We might be looking for that mushroom cloud, that big, obvious event.
Yeah.
And miss the war creeping in through propaganda, cyber attacks, crumbling institutions, rising authoritarianism. Look, we're not saying the apocalypse is tomorrow, but the world is so interconnected, so fragile now.
A small thing could set it off.
A miscalculation, a provocation, even a tech glitch. It could ignite something huge. And unlike before, we have the tech to end everything, many times over.
That changes the game completely.
Fundamentally, it makes this era maybe even more dangerous than the Cold War.
Why more dangerous?
Because it's multipolar now. More major players, more competing agendas, fewer clear rules. The U.S., China, Russia, India, regional powers.
And a lot more variables.
Exactly. And modern war is fought with data, money, code, influence. It might not erupt one day. It might just unravel stage by stage, conflict by conflict, until we suddenly realize, oh, we're in it.
It's bizarre, isn't it? How history's biggest wars often started small. A moment, a decision, a mistake.
Absolutely. Look at World War I, June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand assassinated in Sarajevo.
By a young Serbian nationalist, right?
Just 19 years old. Seemed like a local event almost, but it lit the fuse.
Because of all those alliances.
That power tag, yeah. Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. Russia mobilizes. Germany backs Austria-Hungary. France sides with Russia. Britain jumps in. Weeks later, boom, Europe's at war.
Driven by militarism, nationalism.
Imperialism and this sort of blind faith, it would all be over quickly. Glorious war,
Instead, 4 years of hell. Trenches, gas, millions dead.
And the Treaty of Versailles afterwards, meant to bring peace, but...
It just planted seeds for the next one, didn't it? Humiliation, reparations, crushing Germany.
Created the perfect storm for extremism, economic chaos, desperation, and Hitler rises.
Then the invasion of Poland in 1939. Britain and France finally say enough, and World War II begins.
And what's so chilling is that in both cases, people didn't really see it coming. Not on that scale, despite all the warning signs.
Military buildups, political tensions.
He just couldn't believe it would happen again.
And we hear that today, right? Oh, no one would start a world war now, not with nukes.
But history shows wars often start from miscalculation, pride, fear, not cold logic.
And look at the world now. Rival blocs forming again. U.S. and allies versus Russia, China, BRICS expanding.
NATO rearming, nationalism surging everywhere, countries turning inward, flags and borders as weapons.
And the economy, it feels so fragile. Inflation, debt, food shortages, supply chains.
Creates angry, divided populations, people looking for someone to blame.
Which dictators love.
Exactly. And then add the technology factor. Back then, machine guns, tanks, the first atomic bombs were revolutionary.
Now, autonomous drones, cyber weapons, AI making military calls.
It's a whole new dimension of warfare.
This is where those historical parallels get really scary. A small incident today. A drone shot down, a satellite disabled, a cyber attack.
Could spark a massive response instantly.
Because the speed is just different. Weeks for war declarations in 1914. Now, seconds. A tweet. A false alarm.
It's terrifying.
So looking back isn't just history class.
No, it's a warning. Wars aren't sudden bolts from the blue. They build. Slowly, quietly. Tension, suspicion, ambition.
And we're seeing that same structure rising again.
We really are.
It really does feel like the world is holding its breath right now. Tensions aren't just simmering, they're boiling over in so many places.
It's definitely not cold anymore. Just quiet for now.
Where are the biggest risks? The powder kegs.
Okay, let's tick through them. First, the U.S. and China. Two giants. Economically linked, but ideologically rivals. Circling each other. Trade, tech, military posture.
And the flashpoint everyone watches is Taiwan.
Absolutely. A democracy China claims, the U.S. has this unofficial commitment to defend it. An invasion or even just a blockade, that would cripple global trade, especially advanced microchips. It wouldn't stay regional.
No way. Then Russia and NATO.
Yeah, the Ukraine invasion was decades in the making, tensions over NATO expansion. Now it's a brutal proxy war.
The danger there is an accident, right? A strike on a NATO country.
Or a misidentified missile. That could instantly escalate a regional war into a global one. It's this deeper clash. Democracy versus authoritarianism.
Okay, what else?
Iran and Israel, another powder keg. Decades of shadow war are becoming much more direct threats now.
Iran's nuclear program.
Advancing quickly, Israel keeps issuing warnings. Plus, Iran's network of proxies across the Middle East. A misstep there could ignite a massive regional war, pulling in the U.S., Saudi Arabia.
And we can't forget North Korea.
Isolated, unpredictable, and nuclear armed. Always testing missiles, sometimes over Japan.
The risk of a misfire or some provocation?
Could easily drag South Korea, Japan, even China into a catastrophe.
So what ties all these together? Feels like they're not totally separate issues.
They're not. They're interconnected and increasingly layered with technology, especially AI and cyber warfare.
That's the new element.
And we don't fully understand the tech we're unleashing. Autonomous weapons, AI targeting.
Right.
What if they malfunction or get hacked?
And cyber warfare doesn't need borders.
Nope. Shut down hospitals, crash markets, start riots, all digitally. The scary part is how a disruption in one hotspot, maybe via cyber, could instantly ripple out and inflame another.
It feels like we're balancing on a knife edge. One wrong move, one miscalculation.
And the dominoes could fall faster than we can react.
Okay, let's talk about the major players pulling the strings here. Who are the key actors in this potential global drama?
Well, you've got 4 main power centers driving a lot of this. The United States, China, Russia, and increasingly India.
Right. The big economies, the big militaries.
Exactly. Let's take the United States, still the world's top military power by far, but it's entangled everywhere through alliances, NATO, UCAMIS, support for Ukraine, Taiwan.
So if something big kicks off, the U.S. is involved.
Yeah.
Either leading or dragged in.
Pretty much inevitably.
Yeah.
Then there's China, the rising superpower, huge military growth, massive economic reach with things like the Belt and Road Initiative, clearly aiming to reshape the global order.
And Taiwan is their biggest red line.
Absolutely. Any move there risks direct conflict with the U.S. Then Russia, a major military power, even if the economy's weaker, very assertive, willing to take big gambles, like in Ukraine.
Sees NATO as a threat.
Definitely. And critically, holds the world's largest nuclear arsenal. That's always looming.
Okay. And India. They seem to play a more nuanced role.
They do, and they're often overlooked, but increasingly crucial. Nuclear power, fast-growing economy, a real strategic swing state.
Part of BRICS with Russia and China, but also strengthening ties with the U.S. and Quad partners.
Right, walking a very delicate line, trying to maintain autonomy, but in a major global conflict, they might be forced to choose sides.
And wrapped around all these players are the military alliances. That's where it gets really complex.
Hugely complex. You've got NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, formed to counter the Soviets, now bigger, more unified after Ukraine. Article 5 is the key. Attack one, attack all.
A powerful trigger.
Then there's AUKUS Australia, UK, US, newer pact, focused on sharing military tech like nuclear subs, advanced cyber, clearly aimed at countering China in the Indo-Pacific.
And BRICS of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
Started as an economic thing, but it's evolving. Gaining influence, offering an alternative to Western institutions. Could it become more political, even military? That's a big question.
So the ultimate question, do these alliances prevent war or make it more likely?
That's the classic debate. One argument, they deter aggression because attacking one means facing many, raises the cost.
Makes sense.
The other argument, they lock countries in, force escalation. A small conflict triggers a cascade because of treaty obligations. You lose flexibility.
And with all these overlapping alliances,
The risk of miscalculation just skyrockets. A regional issue suddenly becomes global because the alliance wires are tripped.
it shows how war can start, not just from intention, but from sheer momentum, everyone arming up because they fear being weak.
And that fear itself becomes the driving force, a dangerous cycle.
We often focus on the visible triggers for war armies, weapons, political disputes, but maybe the deeper, quieter fuse is the economy.
Oh, absolutely. Economic instability has historically been a massive, often underestimated driver of conflict. A silent detonator.
How so?
Think about the lead up to World War II. The Great Depression wasn't just bank failures. It was mass unemployment, hopelessness, desperation on a global scale.
And that created fertile ground for extremism.
Exactly. Hitler didn't just appear out of nowhere. He tapped into that deep economic pain and anger in Germany. It's a pattern we see again and again. Economic hardship leads to fear. Fear turns to anger, and anger can easily be channeled towards conflict.
Okay, let's look at today. The global economy feels shaky. Inflation is hitting everyone, everywhere. Basic stuff is getting expensive.
Food, energy, the war in Ukraine, sanctions, supply chain disruptions, it's created an energy crisis, making fuel scarce and costly.
And food insecurity is soaring too, right? Climate change, conflicts, inflation.
Record highs in many places. When people can't afford food, governments can fall. Riots happen. Think of the Arab Spring food prices were a major spark.
Plus, global debt is higher than ever.
Astronomical, especially for developing nations. They're struggling to even pay the interest, forced to cut vital services. Currencies collapse.
And the gap between rich and poor just keeps widening.
Creates huge resentment. Fuels nationalism, populism, people lose faith in institutions, look for scapegoats.
So economic injustice breeds instability.
Which breeds extremism, which opens the door to war. It's a dangerous chain reaction. And in our connected world, if a major economy like China or the U.S. were to seriously collapse,
The ripple effect would be global. Trade, Markets, supply chains, everything gets hit.
Precisely. And chaos makes war look tempting to some.
Oh.
For leaders struggling at home, a foreign conflict can be a distraction. For rising powers, it can seem like an opportunity to change the global order. And for ordinary people pushed to the brink,
Unrest becomes inevitable. We've seen it in Sri Lanka, Argentina, Lebanon, Sudan. Protests over basics like food and fuel.
And all these issues, food, energy, inflation, debt, inequality, they're not separate. They feed into geopolitical tension, climate shocks, mass migration, cyber risks. It's like a perfect storm brewing.
So how close are we to a tipping point? Can the system take much more strain?
That's the critical question. And if it does break, will leaders choose diplomacy, or will they reach for the sword? History teaches a harsh lesson.
What's that?
When people feel they have nothing left to lose, they often become willing to fight for anything.
It's incredible how battlefields have changed. It's not just land, sea, and air anymore. Now wars are fought with tweets, hashtags, viral videos. Information itself is a weapon.
Absolutely. Welcome to information warfare. The most powerful weapon might not be a missile. It could be a well-crafted narrative, or even just a convincing lie that spreads like wildfire.
Social media platforms are ground zero for this, aren't they?
They're the main battlefields now. Facebook, X, TikTok. They're not just for cat videos anymore. They're active zones of conflict.
And it's so easy to muddy the waters. Deepfakes, AI voices, misleading headlines.
It all blends into this chaotic noise where truth feels optional. Facts become relative. It's incredibly hard for the average person to know what's real.
We saw it starkly in Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
Both sides flooding the zone with content.
Right.
Russia pushing propaganda.
While Ukraine masterfully used social media to build global support, it proved that whoever controls the narrative often has a huge advantage.
And governments use it internally, too, rallying support, censoring dissent. We see it in the Israel-Palestine conflict, too. Both sides trying hard to shape the global story.
The danger is this constant barrage of misinformation doesn't just confuse people, it hardens their views, it deepens divisions. People end up living in totally separate realities, fed by algorithms.
Making dialogue almost impossible.
Exactly. And it can spill over into the real world so easily. A fake video sparks outrage.
Leading to protests, maybe violence.
And then leaders react, maybe with force. Suddenly, an online lie causes real-world conflict, and foreign powers love to exploit that chaos to weaken rivals from within.
So the goal isn't always to convince people of something specific.
Sometimes it's just to confuse and exhaust them, to make them give up on finding the truth at all. That's perhaps the most dangerous outcome.
Information becomes ammunition.
And there are no rules, no treaties for this kind of warfare. No digital Geneva Convention.
But the consequences are very real. A tweet can crash a market. A rumor can destabilize a government. A video can justify a bombing.
It raises a huge question. Can our societies actually survive this? When the war is fought over truth itself, understanding is the first casualty.
And then there's the other invisible battlefield. Cyber warfare.
Yeah. The war fought in silence. Where code is the weapon, hackers are the soldiers.
Affecting everything. Power, money, phones, hospitals.
Planes on the ground. Imagine waking up one day, electricity's out, ATMs don't work, traffic lights are dead, water systems offline.
And you don't know who did it.
That's the key. Attribution is incredibly hard in cyberspace. Unlike a missile launch, a cyber attack rarely leaves clear fingerprints immediately.
Which makes retaliation risky. Hit the wrong target.
Exactly. This deniability makes it a perfect tool for modern conflict. Inflict massive damage without crossing a border, without firing a shot, maybe without even being definitively caught.
It's happening already, isn't it? Not just theoretically.
Oh, constantly. Stuxnet, back in 2010, targeting Iran's nuclear program, likely U.S. and Israel. Russia's repeated cyber attacks on Ukraine's power grid. Ransomware hitting hospitals in the UK, oil pipelines in the U.S.
And that's just what we hear about.
Exactly. Most of it happens unseen. It's become a permanent feature of global tension.
So if a major kinetic war breaks out, cyber will be the first move.
Almost certainly. The opening salvo will be digital, aimed at blinding, confusing, paralyzing the enemy. Control the data, control the battlefield.
And civilian infrastructure is right in the crosshairs.
That's what's so terrifying. Our hospitals, water, energy grids, they're all connected, all vulnerable. We've built this incredibly complex digital world.
And it only takes one weak link.
Right. And truth be told, no one is fully prepared. No system is unhackable. It's a constant race between attackers and defenders.
Moving from invisible warfare to intelligent warfare.
Mm.
The idea of machines fighting our wars, thinking for themselves, it sounds like sci-fi, but it's not anymore, is it?
Not at all. AI in warfare is here, and it's accelerating fast. We already have autonomous drones that can fly missions, scan areas, identify targets without constant human control.
AI-driven surveillance, sifting through mountains of data.
Targeting systems that don't just help humans aim, but can suggest or even execute lethal force based on algorithms. They don't get tired, they don't panic.
But are efficient.
Incredibly efficient, but also incredibly dangerous.
Militaries talk about speeding up the kill chain, spotting a target to firing on it. AI seems like the way to do that.
There's immense pressure to shorten that loop. In a fast fight, delays cost lives, so the temptation is huge. Just let the AI decide.
And that leads us to killer robots, right? Fully autonomous weapons.
That's the term. Systems that can identify, select, and eliminate targets entirely without a human in the loop. They're being tested now. Drones, ground robots, sea drones, AI-powered guns.
But can a machine really understand the complexities? Distinguish a soldier from a civilian surrendering? A threat from a mistake?
That's the ethical nightmare. What happens when different countries deploy AI weapons with different rules, different biases baked into their code?
It's a new arms race.
Absolutely. The U.S., China, Russia, Israel, pouring billions into AI warfare. Not just weapons, but surveillance tech to track populations, predict unrest, aiming for total control through data.
So does AI make war less likely because it's more precise, maybe fewer casualties, or more likely because it makes killing seem easier, more abstract?
That's the debate. Some argue for precision, fewer human errors. Others say removing human emotion and morality makes war easier to start and harder to stop.
The fear isn't just killer robots.
It's a whole culture of warfare without consequence. If machines do the fighting, do we lose our sense of the human cost?
And what if two AI systems misread each other? Could war start from a software glitch, not a political decision?
Or what if they get hacked? An enemy takes control of your drones, feeds your AI false data. Once these systems are out there, truly autonomous, can we even be sure we can stop them?
There are calls for treaties to ban them, right?
Yes, many scientists and rights groups are pushing hard for a ban on fully autonomous weapons. But governments see AI as a strategic edge, and the tech companies are racing ahead, often in secret.
So the most profound decision in war, who lives, who dies, could soon be made by an algorithm.
Can we trust that algorithm? And if we have doubts, why are we building it? It's a fundamental question for humanity.
Amidst all these new threats, cyber, AI, information war, we still have the original existential threat. Nuclear weapons, the ultimate symbol of power, the ultimate danger.
Still the elephant in the room. 9 countries officially have them. U.S., Russia, China, U.K., France, India, Pakistan, North Korea, and Israel is widely assumed to.
Thousands of warheads between them.
Enough to destroy the world many times over. It's a staggering capability.
We came so close during the Cuban Missile Crisis in '62. 13 days. The world just held its breath.
It felt inevitable then. Soviet missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles off Florida. Diplomacy thankfully won out, but it showed how easily things could spiral. Nuclear war isn't theoretical. We've stared into that abyss.
And the strategy that supposedly keeps the peace is MAD, mutual assured destruction.
Grim name, simple logic. If you launch a nuclear-first strike, the other side will retaliate before your bombs even land. Result, total annihilation for both. That certainty is meant to deter anyone from starting it.
But it relies on everything working perfectly, right? Rational leaders, perfect communication under insane pressure.
Exactly. And history is full of terrifying near misses. False alarms caused by faulty computer chips, geese mistaken for missiles on radar, moments where one person's decision averted catastrophe.
And technology makes it even more complex now.
Definitely. Cyber attacks could trigger false alarms, disable warning systems. Plus, proliferation. Nukes in North Korea, the India-Pakistan rivalry. More fingers on more triggers in less stable situations.
So are nukes a deterrent keeping the peace? Or just a ticking time bomb?
It's the paradox. Some argue they have prevented major power wars since 1945 because the cost is too high. Others say the risks accidental war, terrorism, rogue states are just too great. And is it ever morally justifiable to threaten such destruction?
There are treaties, like the NPT, trying to limit them.
Efforts exist, but progress is slow. Nations are still modernizing their arsenals, not dismantling them quickly enough.
So they remain this terrifying legacy, humanity's greatest invention and maybe its greatest folly.
A paradox of power we still haven't solved.
You know, it's striking how often World War III pops up now. Headlines, conversations, social media.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just in the air.
It really is, and that has a real psychological impact, more than we might realize. There's this baseline level of anxiety now, a collective tension about the future, about safety.
You see it in things like doomsday prepping becoming more mainstream, stockpiling food, bunkers. It reflects a deeper fear that things are heading towards chaos.
And culturally, it's everywhere. Movies, TV shows, games are full of apocalyptic scenarios, global war, nuclear fallout. It constantly feeds us these stories of humanity on the brink. That shapes how we see the world.
But here's a weird thought. Is the constant exposure making us numb? Do we just scroll past the latest crisis because it's just another one? Does it lower our empathy?
That's a real risk, desensitization. And the media plays a role, sometimes unintentionally. Talk of war grabs attention, right? Drives clicks.
World on the brink. Headlines.
Exactly, often focusing on worst-case scenarios, amplifying extreme voices. It can make the world seem even more dangerous than it is, moment to moment.
And for a lot of people, that constant barrage just creates helplessness.
Yeah.
Like, what can I even do?
A feeling of no control, which is a tough place to be mentally, stuck between fear and apathy.
Social media seems to amplify all of this. Rumors, misinformation, conspiracies spread so fast.
Feeds anxiety, fuels mistrust, pushes people towards extremes. It's a feedback loop.
So are we basically living in a global conflict mindset already?
In many ways, yes. Our fears, our behaviors, what we consume. The idea of WW3 isn't just a future possibility anymore. It's part of our present mental landscape.
So the challenge is, what? How do we stay informed without falling into despair?
That's the key. How do you recognize real threats but avoid needless panic? How do you hold on to hope when everything feels so scary?
Because this constant crisis talk doesn't just affect individuals. It shapes societies, governments, how we connect or disconnect from each other.
So maybe the first step is just awareness. Recognizing how this mindset affects us. Questioning the narratives we're fed. Trying to find that balance between being vigilant and staying, calm.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the risks, the tensions, the dangers. It can feel pretty overwhelming. But what about the other side? What forces are working against conflict, trying to build peace?
That's crucial because despite everything, there are powerful forces working quietly, constantly, to prevent the unimaginable. First and foremost, diplomacy.
Just talking.
It sounds simple, but it's the art of conversation between nations, talking through problems before they explode. Institutions like the UN were created specifically for this after World War II, a place for dialogue.
And international law, does that actually stop anyone?
It provides a framework. Things like the Geneva Conventions limit the horrors of war, protects civilians. It creates accountability, raises the political and legal cost of starting a conflict. It's not perfect, but it matters.
Can technology help keep the peace too?
Surprisingly, yes. AI is being explored to analyze negotiations, predict tensions, maybe even suggest solutions. Global platforms help share data to monitor hotspots, coordinate aid. Early warning systems scan social media for hate speech.
Trying to catch things before they escalate.
Exactly. And then there are people, especially young people. Activists worldwide are using social media, protests, education to demand peace, disarmament, accountability. They are influencing governments.
And education itself plays a role.
A huge role. Understanding history, international relations, different cultures, it builds empathy. It gives people critical thinking skills to see through propaganda, to resist simplistic narratives that fuel conflict. It helps us navigate complexity peacefully.
So preventing World War III isn't about finding one magic bullet.
Not at all. It's a combination. Ongoing diplomacy, respecting international law, using tech wisely, and crucially, active engagement from ordinary people demanding better.
It's about building systems, building cultures that value peace.
Exactly, and that takes constant work, vigilance, and hope. Because peace isn't just the absence of war, it's cooperation, understanding, recognizing our shared humanity.
Ultimately, the future depends on the choices we all make. Dialogue over division, cooperation over competition, peace over war. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, there's this really heavy question left hanging. Are we actually prepared, mentally, morally, militarily, for something like a World War III? It's a sobering thought, isn't it? Mentally prepared. Do we have the resilience for that kind of upheaval? Most of us live so far from war zones. Could we cope with that level of disruption, trauma?
And morally.
Yeah.
Wow. What lines would get crossed? Could we hold on to our values when billions are affected? It's almost impossible to imagine. Then militarily prepared. Not just having weapons, but having the strategies, the restraint to avoid total annihilation, especially with nukes, AI, cyber in the mix. Are we truly equipped to de-escalate?
It's a huge question mark.
And here's another thought to leave you with. If World War III did begin, would we even recognize it at first?
What do you mean? Like the hybrid war idea?
Exactly. Would it be a big bang, armies marching, or slow creep? Cyber attacks, economic collapses, information chaos, proxy wars, building up until it's undeniable, or something totally new we haven't even conceived of.
And how would we react? As a global community, as individuals, would we unite or just fracture completely?
Which leads to maybe the most important question of all. Are we the generation that prevents it or the one that allows it to happen? History isn't written yet.
Our choices today really do shape tomorrow.
They absolutely do.
So we really want to turn this over to you, our listeners. What do you think? Are we prepared mentally, morally, militarily? Where do you see hope? What are your biggest fears? And how can we as individuals actually contribute to preventing a global conflict? Please share your thoughts, your comments, your reactions. Let's start a conversation that truly matters, because the future depends on us engaging with these huge questions. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a lot to think about. Stay aware, stay hopeful, and above all, stay human.